So what's considered one of the most difficult things to do is stand in front of a group of people or roll out in front of a group of people and be able to present, to be able to get in front of people and move them, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're trying to just turn people on to some energy. And there's one trick to this. There's one simple trick. And that trick is the ability to tell stories. On today's episode, the top storyteller is going to share with you, I think, some of the trick, skills, and strategies that have made him number one. No, it's not the Yankees, not the Mets, not the Knicks. Number one, the great Dr. Rob Gilbert. And it's all happening on the R Zone right now. When you put your head on that pillow tonight, you've got one question. Are you glad you did, or do you wish you had?
The R Zone with Coach Jim Stroker.
We've all had people along the way in life who make a lasting impression. For me, one of those people was my high school basketball coach, Jim Stroker. He's coached hundreds of us teenage boys over the years and raised three of the most remarkable kids you'll ever meet.
I have coached hundreds of thousands of games right on these fields right here. But there's only one game that truly counts, and that game is your life. And you will be measured in that game by how you respond. E plus R equal O. The events, many of which are out of your control, plus your response, which is 100% on you, will equal the outcome. And now we're about to lean in on the power of your response. The R Zone. This is a podcast to share conversations on our own hero's journey. These are stories that have shaped my life and the mindset, I hope, that will help shape yours. This is coaching for life. It's not where we've been. It's all about where we're going. The R Zone is the space between stimulus and response. The R Zone is where you have the power to choose your response.
And now, join Jim Stroker in the R Zone.
Okay, welcome to the R Zone. I'm Coach Jim Stroker, and today is the day. You know, have you ever heard like wouldn't you love it one day if a dream would come true? Like if you all actually thought, I wonder if the greatest thing in the world could happen. And that would be this day today. And I welcome my hero, for real, person who's changed my life, I believe, more than anyone in the world. And that is the great Dr. Rob Gilbert from Montclair State University. So, Rob, thank you so much for being here.
I mean, that's so flattering. But let's start with a gift, okay? I didn't wrap it up, but you could unwrap it.
Oh, my gosh. Let me take...
You tell me the year.
Look at this.
What is it? Coach Stroker training sessions.
Coach Stroker. But, and again, on the back, Gilbert said, I'm in Gilbert's class, and I go, Rob, what's the most important thing you'd ever be told in your life? And of course, he actually, every answer is like bang, 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 bang. Yeah. I write it down, and he goes, it's 13 words, Jim, 13 words. I write it down, but I write it down, and then I use it, and it actually works. So everything you need to do anything you want, like, is already inside of you. And I don't know who originally said it, but you're the guy that said it. And I think you believe it, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I think that's a start. You talk about telling stories. Everybody's a great storyteller. We spend more time telling stories than anything else we do. We're storytelling machines. I mean, some people are better than others, but, you know, suppose I just got back from Europe and you pick me up at the airport. You'd be driving me back home. We'd be telling stories. Yeah. You know, I was in Amsterdam. I was there. You know, we just kind of tell that we think in stories.
Yeah, but you point this out. Like, the story that we tell ourselves the most is our story of who we are, right,
Yeah.
Rob?
Well, the most important story of all is the one repeats itself over and over again. Yeah. So if we repeat, I'm fat and I'm ugly, that type of... Here's an interesting thing. The research is all over the place. We have between 6,000 and 60,000 thoughts a day. I mean, that's kind of a big range. I think it's probably 6,000 to 10,000 thoughts a day. But here's the important thing. 90 to 94% of the thoughts we had yesterday are the same thoughts we have today. Yeah. So if we're I can do a person, we say I can. If we're an I can't person, so what are the stories we tell ourselves? Are we repeating stories about wins or losses, cans or can'ts? So the types of story we tell ourselves, and we have choice, So, somebody once said, be careful what you say to yourself. You're listening. You're listening.
So you've done a lot of amazing things in your life, but the one thing that everyone just shakes their head at, because it seems not possible, is this streak that you've developed. And this started 30 years ago, some 13,700 days ago. You just started what's called a hotline.
Yeah.
So tell the folks about that.
So I started something called Success Hotline January 22nd, 1992. Now, the reason I started is just like you. I was a high school wrestling coach. And, just like with your basketball teams, you practice 5, 6, 7 days a week. And then I'm teaching a graduate class, and the thing I love most is applied sports psychology, and I see the kids once a week. Once a week. I mean, how good a basketball team would you have once a week? So I said, now this is way back, this is before computers. So I said, how can I be with my students every day, even though I want to listen? So I know people on, you and I remember old-time cassette tapes. So that's what the old answering machines were, old-time. And so every day I said, okay, I want you to call my answering machine every day. There's going to be a new message, 14 weeks, 7 days a week, 98 messages. And I was only going to do it for 14 weeks, but by the 14 weeks, I had people calling from all over the country. So I never stopped. I mean, I wasn't planning on doing this.
But the thing that's incredible, like, you must have had a couple of days in there when you were sick in bed, or a couple of days when you didn't really feel like it.
Oh, yeah.
But no, that didn't stop.
I was in the hospital for special surgery after a hip replacement. Somebody did the message. It's my voice. I don't know who did the message. Once I was in an outhouse in Vermont, and it was like 13 degrees below zero. And the outhouse was warmer than any other place where I was. But basically, I mean, I say, look, in the last 33 years, have you ever missed a day of brushing your teeth? So it's really not that amazing.
So it sounds
But it's also like a positive addiction. I cannot not do it.
Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting, fun thing. But it's not just fun, is it? And it's not just kind of an interesting, cool thing that you could tell us a story about anything, anywhere, any subject like that. And you spent your entire life working on this. But there's a part of this that you've used to change people's lives, to help people through crisis, through turbulence. You've used it for real. More than just, hey, here's a fun story about a dog and a cat. I mean, these are stories that do what?
Well, stories do change lives. Muriel Rukeyser said, the world is not made of atoms, the world is made of stories. And somebody once said, why did God make so many people? Because he loves stories. But let's do stories, okay? Let's not talk theory anymore. 3 frogs are sitting on a log, and one frog decided to jump off the log. How many frogs are left on the log?
Well, I'm a Rob Gilbert disciple, so I know the answer. So can I give the answers? Of course, there's 3.
Yeah. Because most people, 3 minus 1 equals 2. But it's a riddle. Of course there's a trick. So, but the answer is 3, because just because the frog decided doesn't mean it did it. So there's a big difference between decision and action. I remember it at Boston Latin School. Every Friday afternoon, I brought all my books home because I was going to study all weekend. I usually didn't, but Okay, Fire, Water, and Trust are walking through the woods. And one of them yelled out, hey, what are we going to do if we get lost from each other? And Fire said, oh, don't worry. Look for the smoke. That's where I'll be. And Water said, oh, don't worry. Look for the green grass. That's where I'll be. And Trust said, oh, if you lose me, you better worry. Because if you lose me, you'll never find me again.
Yeah.
I've told that story in class, and I've had some young women cry because that story is about betrayal. You better not lose me. It's like unpopping popcorn,
So, Rob, as a presenter, the number one skill to acquire is the skill of good storytelling.
Well,
if you're a minister, if you're a right? Don't you think a big?
No, I think you're the other example. The number one thing is energy.
Okay.
You could tell the best story in the world, and if there's no energy, there's no excitement.
Yeah, but when I go in the Hudson County Jail, when I go into fourth grade classes, when I walk into the Native American, like I can jump around, but when I come out with a good story, like everyone's like this, like they're back in their beds, when they're 4. That it links everybody. Every time I feel I could do this a lot, and people get tired of this, and all of a sudden they go, hey. There's this story about the Barnum and Bailey Circus. Everybody perks up, and you know that, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, stories, but you embody. You bring the energy and the story together.
Yeah.
So stories without energy is nothing, and energy without stories is nothing. Yeah. So you need both.
Right. But you could have, Barack Obama, Martin Luther King, I don't care who it is. There's an art to telling stories, right? And you know all those little tactics and tricks.
Well, let's talk about what a story is, okay? Yeah. So here's a great definition. A story is something that happened in the past that you could tell in the present that will be remembered in the future. So let me repeat it. A story is something that usually happened in the past that you could tell in the present that will be remembered in the future. Right. Yeah. So when you're giving a halftime talk and you say, well, 3 years ago at the county championships, or it's something happened in the past, and you tell right in the present, and hopefully will have an impact.
Yeah. And you taught us about the power of body language, the power of, I love like someone who really, someone comes across like they really feel.
You know who the two best people in the world in body language are? Body language?
No.
Yeah, you see the comedian Sebastian Maniscalco?
Yeah.
Great. You know this is number 2?
No.
You. Tell people how do they watch your TED Talk? Tell them about your TED Talk.
Well, we'll talk about the TED Talk, but you taught me this.
but at the end of the TED Talk, you're down on your knees. That is so powerful.
Well,
that is so powerful.
Well, I appreciate it, but you taught me all that, and you also taught me the power of the pause.
Yeah.
Tell us about the power of the pause.
Okay, well, let's play a little game. I'm going to give you a sentence. Woman without her man is miserable. So, woman without her man is miserable. So how could you make the man miserable just by pausing? Did I ever tell you this one before?
Yeah, I've heard it. Go ahead.
So woman without her man is miserable. But just by using a couple of commas, a woman without her man is miserable. So woman without her man is, so just pausing. And of course, Jim and I know nothing about pausing other than we know who Paul Harvey is. So go to YouTube. Everything that Paul Harvey ever did, he was a master of the pause.
Yeah.
And pausing is so important. It's sort of like, you're playing tennis, and there has to be a pause. There has to be a pause between bounce and hit.
Yeah. But Rob, you taught us this, that when someone tells you a story, you're creating in your mind. Like there's a visual coming up, right? Like you tell the story about fire, trust, and water. Walking in, I get a vision like of these 3 things. Yeah. So when you bring in a visual, and then there's an emotional piece to it. That's why I remember stories, right? Yeah. Where I don't remember what someone just said, but I'll never forget a story. Is that the way that works?
Well, they say facts fade, stories stick. Facts fade. I could give you every fact in the world. Yeah. When I see my students from Montclair State, and I say, what do you remember about my courses? Yeah. And you know what they say, the stories. Yeah. They never said, the day you talked about the mitochondria. Yeah. They've never said that.
Yeah. So, again, stories are cool. It's fun.
And you know what the best stories are?
Yeah.
The best stories are the one, as a teacher, are the stories we create. Yeah. So I have a student that hopefully you have on the podcast. His name is Jake. He just got out of 13 years in prison. Did I tell you about him?
Yeah.
13 years in prison. And he said there was a drug that got him through those 13 years. Yeah. And the drug was called exercise. Yeah. So he talked about how he did this regimen. Every 3 minutes, he did 50 push-ups. Yeah. And he did 20 rounds. Yeah. So that's 20 rounds times 50, 1,000. In 1 hour, he did 1,000 push-ups. Yeah. I'm saying that's beyond, So in my freshman seminar class the other day, I said, I will give an A for this class if you could replicate what Jake did.
Yeah.
And last Friday, Jason came in. In the first round, he was hurting. The second round, he was, he cranked out 25, then he slowly did another 25.
Yeah.
And then he gained strength, and he gained strength. And then he was doing 40, and just efforting the last 10. And he did it. Yeah. And you know what made the story great?
Yeah.
He said, my dad told me I'd never do it. So I said, give me your cell phone. Get your father on the phone. I said, Mr. Canso, why did you tell it? But, when we create, just like with sports, we create the stories we're going along.
Yeah, but there's something screwy about you. There's some kind of paradox here. Like you're like the best of the best of storytelling. And again, you can be like, oh, come on. No, of the best, right? He's the best of the best. And who needs to be able to tell stories? Well, if you're a parent and you really want to impact your kids, learn great stories.
Yeah.
If you're a coach, if you're a teacher, if you're a leadership guru, anybody in the world of any kind of learn good stories, and you can move those people. And then all of a sudden, at Montclair State University, we have this person who's the best of the best. Who will help anybody anytime if you call him. Like you might go, gee, how do I reach this guy? How much is he an hour? $350, $450, $850? And the guy's like, bring a book, we'll trade it. I mean, the guy is like, I'll give this gift away, like the hero's journey. Like he's going, no, I'm Jesus Christ. I'll give you everything for free. I mean,
let me make an
offer.
offer.
Do this.
Let me make an offer. My cell phone number is 973-985-4138. So 973-985-4138. If you call me up and say, hey, Rob, I'm giving a graduation speech in 3 months, I don't want to talk to you. Yeah. If you say, hey, Rob, I'm doing an athletic awards banquet in 30 minutes, I need a story. Yeah. That's what excites me. Like, if I could give you a story that you use in 30 minutes, but I'm like a story receptacle, and if you need a story, just call me, 973-985-4138.
Yeah, and so my friend Jeff Harmon, this guy I meet is an incredible guy. Incredible guy because, he's paralyzed from the chest down. That's not what makes him incredible. What made him really incredible? He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. No, in his chair. So Jeff goes, Jimmy, I need some help speaking. I want to see if I can get out there a little bit. I said, Jeff, no, not me. Here's the number. Call it. And he calls Rob up. 3 weeks later, Jeff comes out. He gives a speech at the South Bergen Jointure Commission. All of a sudden, he's got a freaking TED Talk at Harvard. I mean, this guy is like, just the most underutilized resource in the history of the world, because he'll do it for you because he loves what he's garnered and wants to give it away. So our connection, I take his class and I'm like, holy shit. I mean, excuse my language, but I finally have a teacher that I couldn't stop writing, right? I mean, I'm an amazing student. I was a straight C student. I got all C's, and I actually flunked out of Manhattan College before I went on to get a master's degree. But I'm in there like, oh my God, I can't stop. Get me another pen, get me another pen. Like the greatest teacher ever. And his classes are for everyone too at Montclair State. So then all of a sudden I'm like locked in and I'm calling 973-743-4690 every day. And I'm lock. And then all of a sudden, bang, what happens? All of a sudden, my 2 children are in a car accident. Jake and Allie. And Allie's paralyzed from the chest down. Jake is sustained a traumatic head injury. And I am at the bottom of the lowest bottom pit you could ever be in. This is my 2 children. I never had a dad. I got to be this dad, and it was the worst thing that ever happened. And so I had no way of getting through this until one day it came. It came from up there. Just call your mentor. Ask for help. And I dial this number, and this guy, he single-handedly, we had doctors, we had a lot of doctors helping us, but no doctor like this. This was the real doctor who was helping us in here. And his stories, literally, for real, cross my heart and hope to die right here this afternoon. Your stories carried me and our family, the Stroker family, through this tragedy. Your stories did. And he's the most humble guy in the world. Jimmy, come on. No, I didn't. No, this is magic. You did it. And you're not here. You're not a regular guy. You're a freaking angel that's been sent. You got a little, this guy is God disguised as, you're like Clark Kent. You know, you're not super, no, but but he's helping people get through challenges. So, you know, when I called that one morning, I'll never forget, and Rob talks to 70,000 people per day. So he doesn't go like, I'm going to give this one for Stroker. No, 70,000 people. But then this serendipitous thing happened. It was really for me, right? So tell me about your, like how do you do, where does this come from? How does God, you know, send these messages down and use you as a vessel?
Well, when I first figured this out, I was in graduate school, and I was back home for spring break. And in my graduate class, I had to do a 2.5-hour seminar at the beginning of May, and spring break was in March, and I woke up freaked out one morning that I haven't done anything. Yeah. I mean, you cannot pass in the paper, but you have to do something for 2.5 hours. So I decided that I was going to carry around a manila folder as a reminder that I had to do this. I said, this folder is not going to leave me until I finish the seminar, until I write the paper. Yeah. So I'm home in Boston, and my mother said, what are you doing with the folder? And I told her the story. Then I saw my friend Eddie. What are you doing with the folder? I get home from seeing Eddie. My mom ripped something out of Reader's Digest. It was on heart disease, his article of heart disease. A few hours later, Eddie calls me up. There's a show on CBS tonight about heart disease. So nature abhors a vacuum. If I give you a bird cage, somebody's going to give you a bird. So every morning I have a 3-minute hole to fill. Yeah. And the stories, you know, so they just show up. And you're like a magnet. I just want stories. Yeah. I mean, it's not, my email address is sendmeastory@AOL.com. I'm asking people to send me stories. Yeah. So I have people sending me stories all the time. So can I tell you my current favorite story? Yeah. My current favorite, and it just depends on what's happening. But Muhammad Ali was training for an upcoming fight, heavyweight champion of the world. And one day he's training out in Pennsylvania, and he's in the ring, and he worked very hard. Yeah. You know, you talked about Bookends Bookstore. Yeah. I saw his trainer.
Customato.
No, Angelo Dundee. Customato was Tyson. Yeah. Angelo Dundee. And I asked him, who's the hardest working guy you ever trained? He said, Ali. Yeah. So then I'm reading a book about Ali, and Ali is in the ring doing sit-ups. 251, 252, 253, and he jumps up, leaves the ring, towel down, water all over him. Then a fan comes up. Champ, that was unbelievable. How many sit-ups did you do? And he said, I'm not sure. He said, what do you mean? I heard you counting. Yeah. And Ali smiled. He said, well, I only start counting when they start hurting. Yeah. Now, that's the difference between Ali and every other athlete in the world. I only start counting when they start hurting. Yeah. You know, learning like yoga, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. I mean, that's so, I mean, so if you actually took that in and say, you know, how long am I going to start studying? Yeah. Well, I start studying 2 hours after I get bored. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I think like 800 seventh graders, like the worst possible, like there can't be a worse situation in the world, right? Like second graders at least like this, like you know, 12th graders are like, you know, maybe at a pencil. Seventh graders are like this, going, oh my God, this is horrible, right? And I got 700, and they don't want to hear some old guy talk. I mean, no, I'm Jim Stroker. I've got no hair, and no. They're like, we don't care who you are. But then all of a sudden, what if you had magic? What if you could get 700 kids to do this? And the magic are these special stories. So the one that I love, especially around Thanksgiving and Christmas, that again, it's all you. And I know, quite frankly, Rob, you must have gotten them somewhere too, right? We all steal like a thief, right? Yeah. But so, you know, the story that I love the most during these holidays is I Wish. Oh. I Wish. So could you tell the I Wish story?
Well, I know you're not going to believe this, but one of the great things about you is you flatter me all the time.
Well, because
But you tell my stories better than I do.
no, you come on.
No,
you're the
seriously.
best. Come on.
You tell the lemon story better than I ever thought of telling it. But this is one of my favorite stories.
This is your
So it's Christmas Day, and Jimmy and Johnny, they're both in their 50s. They're twins. And Johnny, superstar, Harvard, MBA, Michigan, president, multimillionaire.
Yeah.
And his brother, Jimmy, is still working at the local
Grocery
supermarket.
store, right.
And so all of a sudden he is honking, and outside there's his brother, and he has a Subaru. And he said, "Merry Christmas." And so he gives him, he never had a car in his life, and he's 52 years old. So he's outside of his apartment house polishing the car. Now, the car just came off the showroom floor. It didn't need polishing. So one of the kids said, "Wow, where'd you steal that car from?" He said, "I didn't steal it. My brother gave it to me." And he said, "Wow, I wish." And I pause, and I ask my class, "What do you think he wished?" And everybody says, to a person, "Wow, I wish I had a brother like that. Wow, I wish I had a brother like that. Wow, I wish I had a brother like that." No. "Wow, I wish I could be a brother like that."
Yeah.
That's a revelation. Wow, I wish I could be a brother like that. So there are 3 stages of a person's life. Stage 1, you believe in Santa Claus. Stage 2, you don't believe in Santa Claus. In stage 3, you are Santa Claus. And I think maturity, when you cross a line, when it's more fun to give than to get.
Yeah.
That's what I think maturity is.
I love it. So tell us about is it Thanksgiving dinner when they're giving the Lord's Prayer?
Oh, the 23rd Psalm?
Can you tell us that?
Yeah. So Charles Laughton, the great Shakespearean stage screen, in the 50s and 60s, he was huge.
Yeah.
So he's invited to a nobleman's house for Christmas.
Yeah.
But this is money beyond money. I mean, the Christmas table was 50 people around it. Yeah. And but he was invited because he's famous. And right before dessert, the nobleman gets up and he said, "We have a ritual in our family, and we go around the table, and everybody recites a poem or sings a song or dances a jig, something that reminds them of Christmas." So they went around, and the kids did funny stuff, and the older people told stories. When it got to Charles Laughton, in his incredible voice, he recited the 23rd Psalm. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want."
Yeah.
And when he was done, people applauded. They never heard anything like that. And then they kept going around, and then they finally finished. Or they thought they were finished. And one of the kids said, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, we forgot Auntie." Now, Auntie was the oldest person there. She was 93 years old. "Oh, wake her up. She loves this." Yeah. Now, not knowing what happened before, she does what she's always done. She, too, recited the 23rd Psalm. "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." But when she was done, people started crying. Now, they had some festivities. Dinner's over. And it's time for the guest of honor, Mr. Laughton, to leave. So the nobleman walks him to the door. He said, "Mr. Laughton, could you explain the mystery? When you recited the 23rd Psalm, people applauded, but when Auntie recited the 23rd Psalm, people cried. Why the difference?" And Mr. Laughton said, "Oh, there's a huge difference. You see, I know the Psalm. Your Auntie knows the shepherd."
Yeah. See, this is like, this
See,
is
the,
like,
the difference is, I know the story, but do I, like when you tell the story about Jake and Ali, you're not telling the story, you're living your life.
Yeah, but there's no better feeling than thinking back when you're 4 years old and it's pitch dark in your room and your mom has a flashlight and she's telling a little engine to come.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Tell me again." And like the next day, tell it 5,000 straight times. Because there's something about a story that moves you inside and makes you cry even at age 73. Yeah. So like this is the golden goose that laid the egg, right? And what does Mother Mouse say when the cat comes? What did Mother Mouse say?
Oh. So Mother Mouse is walking through the woods, and she has her little brood behind her, like 8 or 10 little tiny mice. And, she's up in front, and all of a sudden she says, "Don't move. Don't move a muscle." Because up her head, there was this big, ugly cat ready to pounce on her babies. So she, just like Mike Tyson, walks up to him, gets up on her back legs, and goes, "Woof, woof, woof." And the cat, just startled, runs off. Then Mother Mouse proudly goes back to her brood and says, "Now you see the value of learning a second language?"
Like this guy, I mean, I know a lot of people. I really do. I know more than 44 million people, right? I don't know anybody like this or anyone who really, the coolest part about this knucklehead, and look at him, he looks like he looks like Albert Schweitzer or a combination of like, who's the guy that did, what was the TV show? Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, Rob's got a little Hitchcock in him, but this guy's got a heart. Like when he dies, you'll be able to find remnants of him. They'll be in the museums. His heart is the biggest heart I've ever seen. He'd give you, and he walks in here with 9 bags to give away. He's the giveaway guy.
Well, let's talk about stories. I don't want to talk about me, okay? Okay, here's the story. I used to edit, this was a dream job. I used to edit Bits and Pieces magazine.
Yeah.
And we had 250,000 subscribers in 3 languages.
250,000.
And
you were the editor.
Bits, Chicken Soup for the Soul really grew out of this, But this was one of the most reprinted things from. So I'm not going to say who this is. It will be like a riddle. So at age 22, he failed in business. At age 23, he ran for the legislature and lost. At age 24, he failed in business again. At age 25, he was elected to the legislature. Hooray. At age 26, his sweetheart died. At age 27, he had a nervous
breakdown.
You've heard this before. At age 29, defeated for Speaker. At age 31, defeated for Elector. At age 34, defeated for Congress. At age 37, elected to Congress. Age 39, defeated for Congress. 46, defeated for Senate. 47, defeated for Vice President. 49, defeated for Senate.
And at age 51, Abraham Lincoln became President of the United States. I mean, incredible, right?
So what I do, after I tell that story, I take 2 lacrosse balls. One, a no-bounce lacrosse ball, and one a regular. So you bounce the lacrosse ball, it bounces. Then the no bounce, bang. Yeah. So are you going to? That's resilience. That's bounce back ability. And I think next to Jesus, I think Abraham Lincoln has more books written about him than any person who's ever lived. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, he was an icon.
So, some people walk the talk. Some people are yackers too, right? Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So Rob has been to every one of Allie's appearances, like from Oklahoma to Paper Mill Playhouse to Ridgewood High School.
To Montclair State
Montclair
College.
State, he comes all over. But he's the show up guy. Like, where is it? And he shows up. Where is it? And I show up. And when Allie was 7 years old, we brought Allie and Jake into one of Rob's classes. And, Rob said, here's just a little kid, which happens to be in a wheelchair, but she can do something special. And she sang The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow with Rob. And then Jake took his...
Oh, first of all, here's a little girl in a wheelchair without accompaniment, a cappella.
Yeah.
And speaking to adults, and she totally owned the room.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I said, this kid is special.
Yeah, and you always give her the greatest compliment. This guy's only cried twice in his life.
Yeah.
Only twice. So what are the 2 times?
Well, twice.
Well,
twice while I'm watching TV, So the first time I cried when I was watching TV, and 2004 when the Red Sox finally won the World Series. I was born in 1947. Yeah. They never won a World Series in my lifetime, so that was the first time. The second time is when Ali won the Tony Award.
Yeah, and again, this kind of mystical kind of, the guy's something that. So Jake walks in. He's 8 years old, and he can't do a whole lot, but he can putt a golf ball, with one arm because he's one, and one's better than 2. So of course this mastermind, it's like, Rob, you're going out. You're going out.
Background to the story. You're missing the background of the story. You were smart enough to realize that Allie couldn't run, couldn't play soccer, couldn't play lacrosse, but she could sing.
Yeah.
Jake couldn't do too many things athletically, but he had one good arm, and he could putt.
Yeah.
And as you said, maybe putting with one hand's better. So you told me that at Long Beach Island, right here, that he won all these miniature golf. I mean, Long Beach Island have more miniature golf courses than any place I've ever seen in the world. So he comes to my class and tell him what happened.
And then you could have, this is the part that I think there's something else going on here. I really do. Like he looks like he's normal. I don't think so. So Rob goes, okay, if you're so good, Come on out in the hallway. And the Montclair State hallways are like long, and they're really like it's the worst putting green you'd ever see.
Remember the old linoleum?
Yeah, it's like that. So this knucklehead, this wise guy, this guru of magicry, like he walks down the end of the hall and takes his coffee cup. He drinks the last sip out of his coffee, and then he puts the cup on the ground at the end of the hall. And poor Jake's like, come on, Rob, you gotta be, and he sticks a $100 bill in the cup. Now, if God isn't in part of this, or Jesus isn't, no, this is like, the poor little kid putts 3 balls, he misses all 3, and we walk back in the room, and Jake, for the rest of his life, does this. Instead, this guy manifests this magic, sticks the $100 bill, looks up like this, points once. That's all he does. He just points once, and then all of a sudden this little kid goes, boom. Boom, right in the cup. I mean, you can't tell me that there's not some outside source in part of this. So, and I know he can't, he's not allowed to reveal that. I know you aren't. Because if God heard if God said, Rob, we're not supposed to tell anybody, but you did that for Jake and Allie. So anyway,
The guy that's producing and directing this, Gil.
Yeah,
we got to do a story for him, okay?
Yeah.
So Gil, this is your school, right? Temple University.
Yeah.
T for Temple U.
Yeah.
Now this is the only football jersey that has diamonds around it. Do you have any idea why it has diamonds?
Russell. Russell.
Russell Conwell. I know there's 13th and Diamond is the school's on.
Well, let me tell you the story. You know more than any Temple graduate I've ever known. So anyway, it's mid 1850s, and Russell Conwell is a minister in Philadelphia.
1863.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well,
Making your guests look bad. Come on. So some of his congregants come and see. They're in their late teens, early 20s. Minister, we can't go to the University of Pennsylvania. That's for the rich kids. Why don't we have a school for the regular kids? Well, Russell Conwell didn't have too much going for him, but he had one thing. Yeah. He had one sermon called Acres of Diamonds. And whenever he did this, the church was packed. So he decided, what if I go on the road? And I'll do the sermons all over the country, and whatever money we can make on the gifts. It's 6,152 times. Yeah. And the money he got from doing the sermons started.
Over $8 million.
Huh?
Over $8 million.
So you want to tell the story?
Well, no, but there's that $8 million
yeah.
came in by doing the sermon. Go ahead.
You want to tell the story?
You're better. You've got this.
Okay. So the story is about, just like in America, they had the gold rush. In South Africa, they had the diamond rush. So there was a man, he was happy. He had a wife, he had 2 kids, he had a farm, and he had a horse. Nobody had a horse, he had a horse. And everything's fine. But he and his friend always, there's this diamond rush, and people become not rich, but mega rich. They're finding diamond mines. So they had this outrageous, we'll sell our farm, he'll sell his farm. My wife and kids will go live with the in-laws, and we'll go seek our fortune. Yeah. And they were panhandling. After 6 months, his friend left him. He said, this is not real. They didn't even find a sliver. Yeah. 3 months later, the original guy with the farm, jumped off the bridge and committed suicide. Yeah. Great motivational story, right? Now, the couple that bought the farm, one day they're at home, and a traveling salesman selling pots and pans, really nice pots and pans, but the couple said, we need them, but we just don't have it. But why don't you come back in a couple of years? Yeah. Well, he's just about to leave, but there was a rapport there. And so the salesman looks, and he sees on one of the counters these ugly black rocks. He said, I've never seen rocks like that before. He said, I have a friend that's a geologist, and I promise I'll bring it back, but can I show it to the geologist? He might be interested, and I'll be back in the area in a couple of months, and can I bring it back? He said, our kids bring us all we want from the stream. Next morning, 6 a.m, the salesman there with the geologist. And the geologist said, ma'am, sir, these are pure diamonds. On that property was the biggest, true story, biggest diamond mine in the history of the world.
Golconda, I think.
what's it called?
Golconda
Yeah.
line.
And
Yeah.
so the story is Acres of Diamonds. What the original farmer wanted was right under his feet.
Yeah.
Right under his feet.
right there.
So everything we need, getting back to everything we need is right inside us. I mean, we have such potential right where we are. So where you are, do what you're doing,
Yeah.
and there might be a miracle.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful. It's an incredible story that you've really brought to light for all of us. That this power of the presence, power of just you said it, Rob. Like you won the freaking lottery. I mean, you actually won the lottery because you woke up and you got 84,600, not bucks, but seconds. And, just the ability to sit here with you, have Gil have created this incredible studio for us to be able to walk outside or roll outside, to look at the sky, be able to hug people. I mean, like...
You know what the most amazing thing is?
Yeah.
You and I, we go back to the 60s, 70s teaching.
Yeah.
When we taught a class, the class was over. It's it. People might be watching this when we're gone, I mean, that's a beauty today, that we could tell a story once and could reverberate over and over again.
Well, you and I might like each other more than anybody else, because I could keep going and just talking. Like, why not we were talking about a 9-hour podcast. I could literally and I wouldn't say about any. I mean, Raquel Welsh could be here, or I mean, I still would be like, Raquel, we've been here like 45 minutes. I got to go get something to eat. But with you, I could listen all day. So like, you leave me never satiated. I always want more, which is such a gift. But again, let me just reiterate one thing before we close shop here. For real, you changed our family's life, and for real, you helped save me, and we all of our family and me especially, we love you forever. Can never thank you for all the things you've done for us and the millions of people. Imagine somebody saying that. Imagine somebody, I want to change the world. I'm going to grow up one day and change the world. Oh, come on, get serious, will you? No. It's possible now. He's done it. So, any last second?
So, first of all, I appreciate that. Secondly, when I went to Oklahoma and I saw Ali, I mean, everything you say, I mean, she's getting bigger and bigger. She is a major, major star. And I really appreciate all the thanks you give me. But I really appreciate it. You know why? Because very few people do that. So here's what I had my students do this week. I give them these cards, and it says, thank you. And on the other side, it says, you make a difference. So I gave them 5 cards, and I said, I guarantee if you give out this to 5 different people, one person, it's going to be an emotional event. Like my good colleague at Montclair State, John McCarthy, was having an MRI. And when he's done, he's getting ready, and the woman technician was really good, so he gave her one of these cards. And she starts crying. He said, I didn't mean to upset you. What's wrong? He said, I've been doing this job for 28 years, and you're the first person to ever thank me. So, as a teacher, I mean, I get more thank yous in one day of Success Hotline than in a whole year of teaching at Montclair State. And I'm not being critical, but I really appreciate your...
You're probably the guy that coined the phrase. I mean, we really have Thanksgiving screwed up. We just have things so screwed up. The name is even screwed up. Thanksgiving. It should be giving thanks.
Oh, I like that.
And so, Rob, your book has just come out. And this is, again, a 30-year... This is one of the coolest books in the history
first of all...
books.
What's cooler than writing a book is having somebody write a book about you.
Yeah.
So the incredible, remarkable Andrew Murata, who's a motivational speaker and he extraordinaire, and he wrote The Magic Acronyms, Formulas, Impactful Stories of Leadership from Success Hotline. And all you have to do, you don't have to remember all this, just go to Amazon and put in Success Hotline, and it'll be like the 3rd book down. And I love this book. I mean, this book is with me every moment of my life, and I want you to have this one.
973 743-4690 every single solitary day until this guy dies, which is never going to happen. I already texted Rob, just don't die, please. but it's every day, and if you call that Success Hotline, and it hasn't moved you, I mean, I'll eat this hat. It really will. And Rob, so it's incredible. But Rob, thank you so much. And if you like this, make sure, okay, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast. Like, I'm not so, this is like the worst thing we could do. We're bringing out like the stuffing first before the turkey. I mean, this is the best we can do here. But it really has been great, Rob, and I thank you so much for this. And, you can follow me on CoachStroker.com, subscribe to the podcast, and again, Rob, one more time, thank you for giving our family everything we needed when we needed it. Yeah. Love you, all right?
Love you too.
Let's get you into the R Zone. Coach Jim Stroker has provided a bridge for inspiration and hope for people all over the world. Are you ready to transform your life and your leadership skills? Invite Coach Stroker to inspire your students or motivate your teams, offering personalized keynote speeches, dynamic workshops, inspirational life coaching, and comprehensive leadership training from Fortune 500 companies to students all over the country to nonprofits and individuals. Empower yourself to become the best version of you with Coach Jim Stroker. For speaking, workshops, training, or coaching, work with Jim Stroker. Visit CoachStroker.com to start your journey today. Let's get into the R Zone.
For more, follow Coach Jim Stroker on socials. And be sure to subscribe to the R Zone podcast, available on all major platforms, including Spotify and YouTube.
And don't forget to pick up a copy of Coach Jim Stroker's new book, Huddle Up, available now on Amazon.
This production was recorded at Ignite Creator Studios, digital media and content strategy. Visit ignitecreatorstudios.com.